A $1.2 billion skyscraper in the middle of Los Angeles has not sold a single unit in 5 years, cannot legally be demolished, cannot be transferred to a new owner without triggering $400 million in tax liability, and is currently more recognizable by its graffiti murals than by the marketing materials that once called it the future of luxury urban living. The tower is 58 stories tall. It stands at 900 Wilshire Boulevard in downtown Los Angeles. It has 278 residential units and 41 floors of office space. It was fully framed, fully glazed, and fully abandoned before a single tenant ever turned a key inside it. The developer ran out of money in 2019. The lenders took the building. The lenders could not sell it. The city cannot touch it. And the taggers found the ground floor windows before the lawyers found a solution. This channel covers the financial architecture behind real estate failures, the deals, the debt structures, the regulatory traps, and the specific individuals left inside them. If that is worth your time, subscribe now. Here is how we got here. The project was called Metropolis. It was announced in 2013 by Greenland USA, the American arm of Greenland Group, a state-owned Chinese real estate conglomerate headquartered in Shanghai. At the time of announcement, Greenland Group was the largest real estate developer in China by revenue. It had completed more than 130 million square feet of development across 30 countries. The Los Angeles project was its flagship American investment. The original 2013 budget was $1 billion. By the time construction was fully underway in 2015, that figure had been revised upward to $1.2 billion. The project comprised 4 towers in total, to be built in phases on a 6.3-acre parcel that Greenland acquired in 2013 for $150 million. Tower 1, the tallest, was the centerpiece. It would rise 600 feet, offering panoramic views of downtown Los Angeles and the San Gabriel Mountains. Pre-sales launched in 2015. Units were priced from $650,000 for a studio to $4.8 million for a penthouse. The marketing language described the project as a new downtown for Los Angeles. One of those pre-sale buyers was a woman named Lyndon Chen, a financial analyst based in Pasadena, who signed a purchase agreement in September 2015 for a 32nd floor 2-bedroom unit at $1.35 million. She paid a $270,000 deposit, 20% of the purchase price. Chen was not an investor. She planned to live there. She told the sales representative she was tired of renting and wanted to be part of something being built for the long term. Her deposit check cleared on October 3, 2015. The technical premises of Metropolis Tower 1 was unremarkable by modern high-rise standards. A concrete core with a post-tension slab system. Curtain wall glazing from a German manufacturer. Mechanical systems on 3 equipment floors, 15, 30, and 54. The elevator cores were designed to carry 16 cabs across 4 banks. The structural engineering was handled by KPFF Consulting Engineers, a firm with a documented record on Los Angeles high-rises going back to the 1980s. Nothing in the design package was experimental. The building was supposed to be straightforward. Think of the capital structure the way you think about a layered sandwich. At the bottom, the most secure position, sat the senior construction lender, in this case, a syndicate led by China CITIC Bank, with $535 million committed. Above that, a mezzanine layer of approximately $120 million from a secondary group of Asian institutional investors. At the top, Greenland's own equity, roughly $200 million of the parent company's capital. The math worked as long as 3 things stayed true. Unit pre-sales remained strong. The Chinese capital controls in place in 2013 remained loose enough for buyers to move money internationally, and construction costs stayed within the 2015 budget. None of those 3 things remained true. In 2016, the Chinese government tightened capital controls in response to a weakening yuan and an accelerating outflow of domestic wealth. The regulatory change was announced in November 2016 and took effect in January 2017. The practical consequence for Metropolis Tower 1 was immediate. Approximately 70% of the pre-sale buyers were Chinese nationals or Chinese Americans with direct ties to mainland capital. Their ability to wire purchase funds internationally was suddenly limited to $50,000 per person per year, a ceiling that made a $1.35 million closing payment mathematically impossible without years of transfers and serious regulatory risk. By March 2017, Greenland USA had received formal notice of purchase cancellation from 67 pre-sale buyers. 67 contracts with deposits averaging $240,000 each, for a total of approximately $16 million in returned capital. More cancellations followed. By the end of 2017, the pre-sale contract book had shrunk from 178 signed agreements to 41. Tower 1 was structurally complete, the glazing was installed, the mechanical systems were in. The lobbies had their stone flooring. The unit interiors remained unfinished, no kitchen cabinetry, no flooring, no bathroom tile. Greenland had made a capital allocation decision: finish the shell, defer the interiors, sell the units in a secondary sales campaign once the market stabilized. It was a reasonable decision in 2017. It became a liability in 2019. In February 2019, Greenland Group's American subsidiary disclosed a liquidity shortfall. The senior lender, the China CITIC Syndicate, had advanced $487 million of its $535 million commitment. The remaining $48 million was withheld pending evidence of adequate pre-sale absorption. That evidence did not exist. Greenland USA requested a forbearance agreement. The lenders declined. In April 2019, China CITIC Bank transferred its interest to a special purpose vehicle managed by an American advisory firm retained for distressed asset resolution. Linda Chen received a letter in May 2019 informing her that the developer was in default and that completion of her unit could not be guaranteed under the existing timeline. The letter was 3 paragraphs. It did not include a refund. It did not include a new timeline. It included a phone number for a customer service representative who, when called, confirmed that the situation was under review. Her $270,000 deposit remained with the developer. Tower 1 was listed for sale as an asset in the fall of 2019. The asking price for the entire tower, incomplete units, glazed shell, functioning mechanicals, was $500 million. There were no qualified bids at that price. The price was reduced to $425 million in January 2020. There were still no qualified bids. Then March 2020 arrived, and the commercial real estate debt market effectively closed for 6 months. The graffiti started in the summer of 2020. The building's ground floor perimeter had been secured with chain link fencing since the lender took control, but the fencing had not been maintained with any consistency. By August 2020, large format spray murals had appeared on 3 of the 4 street-facing facades. By November 2020, the work had migrated up to the 2nd and 3rd floors via exterior scaffolding that had been left in place for a facade maintenance project that was never completed. By the end of 2021, the building had become a landmark, not for the reasons its marketing materials intended. Los Angeles street art accounts documented it. Architecture critics wrote about the tension between the luxury marketing imagery, still visible on construction-era scaffolding banners, and the layers of tags and murals accumulating across the glass. One banner read, "Redefining the Skyline." The graffiti beneath it had been there for 14 months. The special purpose vehicle holding the debt had still not found a buyer. The asset sat on its books marked at a value its own advisors could not defend in an open market. In 2022, the lender consortium attempted a structured sale to a domestic development group with an offer of $280 million, significantly below the original ask, but sufficient to clear the debt with modest recovery. The transaction collapsed at due diligence. The reason was a provision in the original ground lease negotiated between Greenland and the city of Los Angeles in 2013. Any transfer of the property that constituted a change in use or ownership within the first 30 years of the lease required the city's written consent and triggered a tax reassessment based on the transferred value. The assessed transfer value at $280 million would have generated a property tax reassessment, producing an estimated $4.3 million in annual additional tax liability, a manageable figure. But the change in ownership provision also triggered a city affordable housing impact fee that had been deferred under Greenland's original development agreement. That deferred fee, which had been structured as a percentage of total project value and then frozen pending completion, was calculated in 2022 at approximately $67 million. Payable at transfer, not assumable by the new buyer without renegotiation. The $280 million sale became a $213 million net transaction before any capital improvements required to make the building habitable. The buyer walked. The developer's position was presented clearly. Greenland USA had invested its committed equity, fulfilled its construction obligations, and lost control of the asset due to macroeconomic forces. Chinese capital controls that were neither foreseeable nor within its operational control at the time of project inception. That position contains something true. Capital controls of that severity and speed had no direct precedent in the post-2000 era of Chinese outbound investment. The lender syndicate's position was equally coherent. The construction loan had been advanced in good faith against a pre-sale book that the developer represented as committed capital. The collapse of that book was a developer failure, a failure to hedge currency risk, a failure to diversify the buyer pool, a failure to maintain a completion guarantee that would have protected the lender's position. That position also contains something true. The City of Los Angeles maintained that its ground lease provisions and development agreements were standard instruments applied uniformly, not punitive to this specific project. The affordable housing fee deferral had been a concession to encourage construction. It was not a waiver. That position, too, contains something true. None of their positions resolves the building's current state. The developer has no standing. The lender cannot transfer the asset without triggering costs that eliminate any recovery. The city cannot force a sale and has no mechanism to compel remediation of a privately held distressed asset that is structurally sound and not in violation of any building code. The building is not dangerous. It cannot be condemned. It cannot be demolished. The demolition of a 58-story concrete structure in downtown Los Angeles, adjacent to active transit infrastructure, would cost an estimated $80 million in standard market conditions and require environmental impact review under SECA that would take a minimum of 18 months. No party to this dispute has $80 million in 18 months to spend destroying an asset they are simultaneously trying to sell. Linda Chen filed suit in Los Angeles Superior Court in September 2021 to recover her $270,000 deposit. The suit named Greenland USA as the primary defendant and the special purpose vehicle holding the debt as a secondary defendant. In January 2023, the court awarded Chen a judgment of $270,000 plus $19,400 in statutory interest. The judgment has not been collected. Greenland USA's American subsidiary has no liquid assets against which it can be enforced. The special purpose vehicle's attorneys successfully argued it was not a successor in interest to the developer's consumer obligations. Chen's judgment is a number on a piece of paper. It earns no interest until collected. It expires in 10 years if not renewed. She has not moved. She is still renting. The building stands today at 900 Wilshire Boulevard in downtown Los Angeles. It has been partially covered in graffiti for 5 years. Its interior units remain unfinished. Its lender has been trying to sell it for 6 years without completing a transaction. Its original developer no longer has an operational presence in the United States. The regulatory framework that allowed a $1.2 billion structure to be built on a ground lease containing transfer provisions that would later make the asset functionally unsaleable has not been revised. The city's development agreement template that deferred the affordable housing fee in a form that compounded into a transaction-killing liability was still in active use as of the last public audit of the city's development agreement inventory in 2023. A $1.2 billion a building sits empty in the second largest city in the United States. One woman's $270,000 is a court judgment that cannot be cashed. A lender holds collateral it cannot sell. A city has a ground lease it cannot exit. And the graffiti keeps going up because nobody who owns a piece of this building has any financial incentive to pay someone to remove it. There are buildings structured exactly like this one in Houston, in Miami, in Seattle. Different developers, different debt structures, the same deferred fees, the same capital control exposure, the same ground lease language. This channel will find them. Subscribe.